Cool. All right, so welcome to our March 30th edition for AppMaker Office Hours. My name is Christian Schalk, and I'm joined by James Ferreira of AppMaker University. And we also are joined by two engineers on the team, Alexander and Pavel, and they're going to be providing a little bit more detail on kind of like the work in progress that we have for our template applications. So if you can see here, pretty simple agenda. I'm going to hand it over to Alex, I think, to start off with, and he's going to talk about a specific template application. So these template applications are basically turnkey solutions that provide just a lot more depth on how to build more sophisticated applications, and they complement our, I would say, our simple samples and just kind of getting started types of content that you can find as well in our docs. And so Alex will step into that. He's going to be showing us his application called Training Hub. And then we also have Pavel, who's going to join us, and he's going to be showing his project tracker. That's another template application that he's working on. And depending on how deep we go into the applications, we'll also spend some time just talking about some best practices. So we were just speaking a few minutes ago with James on like particular area of like a common pattern where like you have like a list page and you might want to drill down into a detail page, and then there's some techniques for preserving like the record pointer as you navigate to that page. And then other than that, we'll just like open it up for general Q&A, and so we'll take it from there. So without further ado, providing that Alex is ready, if you would like to go ahead and show what you're going to be doing.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so my name is Alexander Luchkiv, and I'm gonna show you the Training Hub app, one of the application templates that we are working on. So the main purpose of this app is to provide the ability for companies to just teach their employees, provide some ability to learn for new hire employees or newly hired employees or employees that want to just switch their project role or switch their departments or want to grow, for example, become managers, new managers or something like that. So how it works, this application has just several built-in roles. So the first, I'm gonna show you the moderator role. Moderator is the person who adds some courses, manage courses, can edit courses, delete courses. So let's just go a bit deeper. So for example, one of the courses. So what is course? Course is a set of set of customizable assets. Assets is a kind of learning material. So course is set of just any learning materials. It can be Google Doc, Google Slides, Google Sheets, YouTube video, so some presentations, or just general website. So for example, as like this one. So the moderator can add course, can just edit a course, add some assets to this course, remove some assets, and these courses later will be used for training purposes. So the HR person can assign this course to any employees. So we have some predefined courses already. I will not create it right now. So we have a bunch of them. So that's basically the moderator role in this app, to create, manage courses, assets, and update them, keep them up to date, and provide the learning material. So next, the HR person has its own section, assignments, and he or she can assign any course to any person to learn. So for example, let's try how it works. Create new assignment, and for example, I'm gonna assign it to myself for demonstration purposes. We can assign the course to just multiple employees at a time. So let's assign, for example, 2 courses for newcomer employees and G Suite overview. I will not assign to just many person just for now for demonstration purposes, but the app allows it. So let's set some due date for just completing the course and click assign. Once we assign the course, so I assigned to me 2 courses and I see 2 assignment records created. So this screen allows HR specialists to not only assign courses, but track all the progress, learning progress of employees. So we can just filter by status, for example, or track progress by person, for example, filter by person and see. We can drill down and see all the courses and the progress by course. So we will see a little bit later how it works when the course in progress, for example. Okay, so I assigned, on the previous step, I assigned 2 courses to myself. Okay, the application sent me a notification that 2 courses, G Suite Overview and 4 newcomer employees, have been assigned to me. I click link to see my new assignments in the app. Okay, and I see that 2 courses been assigned to me, and I can just go and just start learning them. So on this screen, it's a learning screen. So we see learning of a course and first learning material, first assets. And now we see it's nothing else that's just embedded Google document. So it can be prepared internally in the company, and it can be, for example, it's an example of code of conduct, some sample data. So as a user, I should certify that I have learned and understand the material above and click next to complete this asset. So this asset is completed. The next one is example of Google slide presentation. So user can just learn the material, click through the slides and so on. By the way, there is a button that allows user to open it in another window, another browser tab, if it will be just more comfortable. Okay, we go next. That's an example of embedded YouTube video as a learning material. By the way, we see the this asset name example, some stats about the ordering, some time for this course, for this asset, and remaining time for entire course. Okay, let's go next.
So just I'll just jump in here really quickly. I noticed we're getting some other folks joining in late, but so what Alex is doing is he's actually going through showing a new template application. So these are essentially built solutions that are provided inside of AppMaker, and he's just walking through the actual usage of the application. Also, if you get a chance and time permitting, it'd be nice to maybe, if you want to, maybe show the application in the editor a little bit, maybe on some of the things that how you implemented. For example, this window here that shows the docs or the video and things like that.
Okay.
But it depends. I mean, if you guys have questions online, you can always post them there, and we can probably take them as they come. So cool.
Okay, thanks. So now we see that's an example of just embedded regular website. I used just material icons as an example. It can be any website, for example, internal company knowledge base article, or just anything you want.
And the way that you did that, you just used HTML area.
HTML edit, HTML edit, and internal iframe. So I got the list assets, so I'm gonna push complete. Okay, so I completed this course. The application congratulates me, and I can go to my courses, and I see one of the courses is completed. I can go here, and I see a notification, and just that I completed the course. So let's go here. We can just hide completed courses. We can also search and find any other courses, edit on our own. So as we see, I can delete course which I've added, and I can delete course which was assigned to me. So so for example, let's start. I don't know. Let's try once again. So G Suite overview. Okay, let's start one more course just for tracking, just for demonstration tracking. So I completed one asset of just from one course, and I'm going to be, as HR specialist, I'm going to assignments. So, and I filter. And I see that one course is in progress. I can drill down. Course is completed, so it's kind of tracking statistics about my progress, on this assignment, so on this course. So that's pretty much it about this app. So also I wanted to show FAQ
and settings.
FAQ and settings. Yeah, FAQ is just some customizable help about the app. So admin can go to settings and customize its text. Also, admin can customize application title, application name, support email, and default notification templates. So that's pretty much it about the app. So yeah.
Did you, I think you touched on it, but you have obviously different roles that you've set up for the application, like the moderator and HR.
Yeah.
Did you want to touch on that just really quickly again for some of the folks who joined late?
Yeah, okay. So this application has 4 built-in roles. It's moderator, the person who manages courses, who can add, edit, delete courses, keep them up to date, add some assets, learning materials to each course. Then the second role is HR specialists. So we can just see it right now. I'm an admin role, so I can see everything in the app. So moderators can manage courses. The next one, HR specialists, can assign courses and track the assignment progress, learning progress. So the next one is just regular user. Regular user can learn courses, can add and just find some existing courses, add courses to their own, and just learn them just anytime, anywhere. And the next one is admin. So global application settings available to admins only, and they can change some global application changes, which just, I don't know, related to all the app. Okay, so
since you have it up, unless you were about to discuss something more on the roles. No, it's like if you notice on the menu that you have that you've created on the left, which is kind of similar to what we provide in the out of the box experience for our quote starter app. But if you pop open the menu, you can see that there's some icons on the right, and you have a little highlight, or essentially a mouse over effect there. Do you want to describe how you built that? Because I know it was not like you had to do a little bit of
so basically, I can stop here. So basically, it's built-in widget help icon with the pop-up I don't know, pop-up help, pop-up tip. Yeah, and the icon is customized using CSS, so I can probably
Yeah, because I remember we kind of struggled with that because we liked the behavior of the help icon, but you wanted to have a custom icon, basically. You wanted to have that custom padlock icon. And so the solution was, at least for now, was to just provide a CSS-based solution to override the, and I think you're doing the inside HTML or inner HTML change.
Yeah, so basically for changing the icon, in this case, I hide the original icon and add the icon to pseudo element in CSS before with the just needed icon code for now. And also I want to mention that we filed a feature request to core team to implement it as well. So
yeah,
I guess it will be implemented at some point.
Yeah, that would be good because obviously this looks like something that would be like a pretty easy no-brainer to add additional functionality, obviously, to the help icon.
And hey, while you're on that subject, can you go over a little bit about how you're controlling those permissions for the different people?
I control the permissions on each level. So first I control permission on the client. So for example, some menu items and some pages are available to some particular roles only, so it's restricted. And also is a good practice, and I've implemented this as well.
I don't want to interrupt you. I was wondering if you could actually maybe walk through a little bit of that here in the editor. So
yeah, okay, definitely. Yeah, so for example, you see courses pen, just courses menu item, and we can see the visible property. It's implemented with the standard bindings. So I just made some shortcut functions for simplicity. So we can show. We can just jump here. Really quickly. Yeah, so I made some shortcut functions. So is admin, is moderator, is HR, and I bound the menu item and some other clients permission validations to these functions. So, and we can see that this menu item, this action available to moderator, HRs, and admins. So we can see that, for example, assignments is available for HR and admins. Yeah, and also, of course, it's a good practice to check permissions on the server side in our models. So I can, for example, I don't know, just open any of the models. So for example, we can see that only moderators can create the course, or only moderators can save the course. That means just made some changes, edit. Only moderators can delete the course. So, and basically that's it. So
you can also mention entire page permissions.
Yeah, and also page permissions. Yeah, good catch. Yeah, so for example, assignments are available for HRs only. So let's just, okay, just a second. Yeah, so this page is available for HRs only. So that's security setting that this page available to some roles, and HR is selected here.
So closing this page to HR role only means that the entire page will not be sent to client if end user does not have these permissions.
Yeah.
If user is not in HR.
Yeah. So end user even using, I don't know, some console methods, some internal methods. This page is not available and not even in the page list. So you can't just set it or open it using page chooser or just anything. So it's pretty secure.
That's really great. It's great to see how roles are being used in an actual app and one that's deployable. One question I do have though, for you guys, when you're developing these internally, How do you go about doing the testing and things with roles or role-based identities there when you're in the development, the preview stage? Where
It's a good question. So basically, there are just, I guess, there is one primary approach. So in your deployment settings, you can set your account to be an admin, to be a user, to be any of the role, any to be member of any role or roles.
So you can show your deployments.
Yeah. So let's see. It's my deployment, so it's demonstration deployment. So for now, on that tab that I've shown, I have an admin access, so I can delete myself, for example, and add it to HR specialist. And I will be in that tab, I will be HR specialist. So the basic approach, so you can just change the role. So you can be admin first. So add some data, for example, in your deployment, and then change roles and test your app. So
yeah, so you can have multiple deployments and have different roles for each deployment, or you can have one deployment and when you want to test, just remove yourself from different roles.
Yeah, so now I removed myself from admins and added my user account to the HR role. So, and you can see that there is no setting menu item because settings are not available for me to change. So that's pretty efficient technique in terms of testing.
Any other questions about this particular app? Anything on our live stream? It looks like there's something. So can you make templates for download? If I understand the question, are you saying you want to download this particular template, or it's a? So let me just speak to that in general because it's sometimes hard to have a two-way conversation on the chat. So what Alex is showing is an application that once it's finished, it will actually be part of AppMaker. And the way it works is that when you create a new application, you can open up the menu in AppMaker to base the application off of a whole variety of different template applications. And so in this case, this app that he's showing will be one of the options that you'll be able to create. You'll create your own copy, and then you just go in and hit preview. Now, in general, though, you can always download an application and export it, and if you want to maybe do any kind of ad hoc sharing of an application, aside from actually giving editor authorization to a live application, you could just always export the application as a zip file and then stick that somewhere like on a shared drive. And we've been doing that to some degree with some of the samples that we've been or draft samples or just examples of apps that we put out over the last few months between the Trusted Tester and the EAP. So hopefully that's helpful.
And Chris, I was wondering if we could also maybe just click over to the editor for a second, and so we can show the menu path of how you actually get to those templates.
Yeah, that sounds good. So Alex, go ahead and you can give do like a menu.
Menu. Okay. Yeah. So
No. On the application editor itself, the on the top left, that menu when you create a new app.
Okay. Yeah.
And you click on new. And then the gallery pops open, and then that's what I was referring to. You have these built-in applications that you can use.
Training Hub will appear there.
Yeah, exactly.
Training Hub as well as any other templates. Yeah.
Yep, and we're still refining kind of like what to show here, whether it's just these turnkey solutions or whether it's also kind of a combination of kind of medium or beginner size types of starter applications. So. But yeah, they definitely recommend, at least being aware of this. And then as we continue to refine what we show here, you'll be able to use this at the same time, also looking at, say, what stuff we post on our developer doc sites. Okay. Anything else on that particular app, or otherwise we can hand it over to Pavel. He has another template application. So we'll go ahead and once the YouTube live stream catches up, we should be able to see what Pavel's going to show. So you're going to be showing us your project tracker application.
Looks like I have multiple Chrome instances and it shows wrong one.
Okay.
And it doesn't provide me to show right now, so I'm just will reshare entire screen just a second.
Yeah, so we can see your screen now.
Yeah, so it's wrong one. So
Yeah.
if I show this one,
Yeah, you just have to share that screen.
Yeah.
So,
you just set
or
there.
share your desktop.
Share, so how can you share? So how can stop sharing?
Click on that thing there. Yep,
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay. So I'm going to demo you a project tracker application. It's a simple application that can help your team or your company tracking project statuses across your organization. So it allows you to create multiple projects, and inside every project you can create project items to be more detailed. Out of the box, after you preview or deploy your application first time, you can see some sample project. It has a pretty simple description, and now you see a dashboard. It's a main page of the application. So whenever you click home button, you're being navigated to the dashboard. On the dashboard, you can see number of filters. So you can filter project by status. So there are a list of predefined statuses. So also you can filter them by project name, by project owner, and by the due date. So when you create a project or edit it, you can set its status and due date. So let's try to create a new project. So new project. So you can see that due date is required. So let's set it and go. So it's new project, and on the project screen you can see a list of project items and some filters for project items. So you can filter project items by project item owner, assignee, status, and so on. So, and if you navigate back to dashboard, you can find that this new project is here. So it's pretty nice. So you can
Do you want to talk about
filter
adding
that.
items and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just showing that it appears here.
Mhm.
So let's go to some particular project with some items here. So it's sample project, and it appears here out of the box. Something went wrong.
Or not?
Yeah. No, it's work in progress, so it can fail anytime. Now there is some minor rendering issue with charts. So it shows items breakdown. So right now in this project there's only one item and it's in new state.
Do you want to create a new item?
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
different
yeah.
state, just for the, yeah.
So let's go and create new item. A new item in sample project. Boom, boom, boom. So let's edit. So it's project item view. Here you can see project item name, project, where it lives. So if somebody created item in the wrong project, you can move it across projects. So a quick link to navigate to project. Some information, who created it, when it was created. So you can set here assignee.
So is the user picker not available?
So for flexibility, I'm using just text box because, for instance, you want to assign this item to group, and user picker allows to select only users but not user groups.
Okay, because I could see, yeah, some we might, yeah.
By the way, there are different types of product items. So you can create bug, feature, process, and there are some predefined statuses: new, active, resolved, and closed. It's pretty easy to modify. For instance, if you go to project item type, and there are some allowed values, so possible values. So there are bug, feature, and process. So you can easy to add new types for project items, and the same works for status, both for project item status and project status. So and you can see that it tracks project item history. So whenever you add something, it will be tracked and stored forever. And on every change of project item, you will receive email notification.
So also just to review from a high level, your data model is set up such that you have your project as the master
Yes.
data table, and then you have your project item. Or
Yes.
Sorry,
it's project
So you get
item
projects,
and project
and then-
item history.
Yep.
That's simple.
Yep, and then project item history. There you go. That's what it is. And the relationships are set up such that everything just works nicely. Yeah.
So another nice feature of this application is global search. For instance, you want to find some information about sample project, and it's will return you mixed results. So you can see that it returns different search result types. So it's can turn project item, project, or comment inside project item. So it searches all tables in your database: project, project item, and project item history. And you can navigate from this view to any piece of your app. Also, for instance, you want to find all items that you are involved in. For instance, where you are assignee or reporter or editor. So it also will find all this stuff. In settings, you can, settings are available only for admins. In settings, you can turn on or off email notifications and modify email notification template. So let's go see how sample project looks like now. So it shows all product items breakdown by type, and so the list of product items. So that's pretty much it about this application. So if you have any questions, you are very welcome.
So James, did you have anything on your side?
Yeah, we could. Did you? Let's see if there's any questions from the people that joined us here on the Hangout first, and so we can make sure we handle those. And then if we run out of questions, then there's a couple best practices things that I think would be great to just kind of give people a little bit of preview and see how that goes.
Yeah, so looks like there's some questions on the availability of the templates. And so the Training Hub specifically, I don't know, what would you say, Alex, from when we think it will be able to roll out?
I don't know, it depends, but I expect it to be live soon, I guess in several weeks to be available, maybe
So
3-4 weeks.
Optimistically, a couple of weeks. Pessimistically, months and a half.
Yeah, but in any way, at some point in the nearest future, it will be available.
Yeah. So it looks like David was probably correct when he said about a month.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else on this? Looks like there's another question. I'll get to that with regards to education. And I think there was something earlier on. Does a student have to be a Google user? Does it work for anyone? So in general, to Derek's question and originally, AppMaker is for building applications that work within your specific domain. So it's not going to be accessible to anyone out on the open internet, if that's exactly what you were asking. And so they will have to be authenticated for that specific Google app. Let's see, hopefully that addresses that. And then you are referring to the other question from World University Service of Canada. AppMaker will be released to education or nonprofit accounts after the early access program. Yes, that actually is the intention, that we'll continue to roll out AppMaker to not just, like right now for the EAP, for those who don't know, like the qualifications for the EAP are basically you're running G Suite Business, and essentially we've been working with like some of our educational partners to get them also in line, but we have to kind of do it manually. So we haven't totally like opened up the full access to EDU, but it's definitely something that is coming up, and we have it as a goal to address the EDU a little bit more formally in the next month or so we can start putting out some communications on that as well. Anything else that we want to touch on?
Anybody that's joined the Hangout on air, any of you want to unmute and ask a couple questions?
Yes, that's correct. I forget we have that as well.
Okay. Well, if you do think of something later, just unmute and pipe up, and we can address those questions as you go. Chris, if you want, I could switch over to show my screen, and we could talk a little bit about some of these different best practices that we're seeing in this area here. So what I've got here is I've got a basic application that has a table and a data source, and we're just going to list out a few things on the screen. And let me just switch over. So it'll look like this. You'll have several records and some icons and different amounts of data. And what we want to do, so there's a couple different ways we could view more details about these, because really on a table you can only show so many rows, and then you run out of space on the screen, and you can try to make it work for different size screens, but it's really hard with tables to show a whole bunch of data, and you might have a whole bunch of data in a single row. So having something like a pop-up or some kind of device like that, like here we have a pop-up screen that will show more details, and it's kind of in a format, so it might be a little bit more familiar to users for entering data as opposed to entering it in a row like you might in a spreadsheet. So what we do to make that pop-up work is we go over, we're going to select, I'm going to use a button right here in the row, and we select the on-click handler here, and we just need to go down to Open Dialog and then select that dialog page. And when we preview that, it will come up with the screen, and then if we click one of these little phone icons, then it will open up that specific record. So that's really good news. Now, if we want to navigate to, say, a page, a larger profile, so something like this details page where it's going to fill a whole screen, it's not just something that would be appropriate for a pop-up. You might have a lot of other things going on inside that screen and a lot more data, and you just need to use the whole real estate. So you actually want to go to a new page, not just a pop-up within that page. So the way we could handle that, or the way that would seem intuitive, is when we use the regular navigation, we just say navigate to page, and then details, and if we load that up, we'll wait for the editor to load, or the page to load here. And when we navigate to, say, this center one here, we see it actually gave us the first record, not the record we were expecting. And so that's because we've gone to a different place. We're no longer on the same page like with the pop-up. We're now somewhere else. So there's a couple of different ways we can handle that so that we do get the right information. And here I have a couple of them. The probably the easiest, most preferred way is here to use this widget.root.datasource.select key, and then pass it the key of the root. Now this works great if we have the same data source at the root of the page as we do on the table, which in this simple navigation we do. And so if we copy that over to our list page in our click handler for our button here, We just click custom action. And since I already have the code all copied, I'll just paste it right in there. And it looks like that. And so it's just a slight modification of what we're telling the app to do. Now when we click here, we do actually get the right information about that device. So that's one method for doing that.
I think it's fair to say, though, that this is something that we probably want to have the product do that for us, so we don't have to resort to this. I mean, just unless I'm missing something, right? Because this was always something that tended to pop up, but it was always so easy to account for with like 2 lines of code. But I don't know. Be curious to see if you had any thoughts on that from your perspective.
Yeah, I think that probably we want the same behavior. You know, I think the app should probably do this this piece here with the select key just built into that navigate page when it's appropriate to do that. And I mean, obviously that would be a change in how the application works. Another way we've seen of doing this is also setting a timeout. And this just basically ensures that that's the last thing that happens after everything else has happened on the page. So we've seen both of these methods. They're both effective and they both work. And so we like that. There's a third method. Of course, there's lots of different ways to do things in AppMaker, and we really like that flexibility. But with flexibility, we also have to figure out, well, what's the best standard? What's everybody else going to do, so that when we're going through these things, we know. So and the other way is this method where we would use a record ID on the page itself. And let me just skip over to the details page, and I'll show you where those record IDs are. These are actually really handy. These custom properties down here. So you can create a custom property, and you have a selection of the different kinds that you might want to make. And so this one it's a string, we called it record ID. And what this does is it's essentially, if you're used to traditional web programming, we might take a text box and set it as hidden and just stick it somewhere on the page so that we could store values there. Well, this is kind of the same sort of thing. Once you set this property, it's going to stay that way until you change it again. So you can navigate away from the page, you can come back, it's still there. You can call it from other pages, and you can also use these custom properties in data sources as well. So it's a very handy thing to learn a little bit about and to utilize those when you're navigating around your apps. And so what this little line of code does is, and we would put this here in our click handler, and what it says is that you're going to get the page details, you're going to get the property called record ID, and then you're going to set the key to that, to the key of the current item that you just clicked. So that's pretty straightforward there. On the receiving end, what we have to do is when the page attaches, so on the page attach, and let me just show you in details where page attach is here. I've actually got it commented out because it would have interfered with us loading the other page. It's this piece of code here that is on attach, and because it's easier to view here in the script editor, I'll just bring it back up here. What that does is, what we're doing here is we wanted to have a more universal way of working with pages, and so we can actually use a URL to bring up the specific record in the database that we want to see. And that's exactly what this code does, is it looks at the URL that was sent to it, and if it had a value called record ID, then we're going to use that, and we're going to set that same property on the page right here. And then finally, we'll do a query on the page, setting the record to be equal to that to that record ID, and then load the page. And so I've got that actually loaded up here. So let's choose the Samsung phone here. And just to make this easier, I did stick a little, there's a little bit more code for creating a link. That's, of course, a different piece, and we can go over that in a different part of a video. But when you load up that link and click it, so if you were to send this in an email or something else like that, the person could click on the link in the email and be taken to the specific page with that specific record already in their browser. So also a really handy way to do that. So.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because that's definitely a very important concept, that it's not like intuitive, or it's not exactly like the first thing that you would know how to do. And so obviously, as you can, and I don't know if you want to speak to that even in more detail, how you're actually implementing that, but yeah, no, it's definitely very helpful.
Yeah, well, we see this quite often, especially in things like approvals. So when you have an approval workflow, often you'll have part of the approval process is send an email to the manager. The manager doesn't want to do anything other than click a button, because that's all they want to do to make their approval. So you set a button, or you can use a link in the body of the email that where you just, because you're sending the link or you're sending the email from the app, you can just append that link in a nice format that they can then click. They're taken either immediately to the app, and you can even embed a parameter that says approved or rejected, those kinds of things in the URL parameter string. Or you can open the app to where then they can make additional decisions, and they don't have to go hunting around, well, this was in that project and it was that record and these files, and you can just direct them to the specific information they need to make a decision right away, and that gives you a much, much better, much richer user experience.
Cool. And do you have do you want to share anything on how, I can see as you're appending like arguments to the URL, but how about on the other side of like taking in those arguments? Did you want to step to that a little bit?
Right. So the this piece of code right here. So let me actually walk through these steps here. So on the details page down at the bottom, just so you can see how that goes. I just have a text box here and then a button. And on the button, we're simply calling google.script.run with success handler, and we are sending that to this get link function that is, and for that, we're just sending in the current page name and the, it's a little hard to see on the bottom here. Maybe I can get an extra space in there at the bottom. Make that a little easier to see. There we go. And then we're saying app.pages.details. Here again, we're using that record ID from the page that we set earlier when we navigated here to send those two items to this function here on the server side. So that comes through as page and record ID. We're getting the app URL using script app.getService.getURL. And then these just simply add $record ID and then the record ID that we got from the page. And then a # page, which tells AppMaker which page to load. And so that's, and then we're returning that into, and then I write that to that text box that we had so that I can copy that. And that's what you saw here at the bottom. When we hit create link, we get that link. And just so you can see what that actually looks like, let me paste it up here in the browser. So here is that record ID, and that's what that piece looks like, and then the page details right here. So that's what's taking us to that direct specific record. So I think that pretty much covers all of the different pieces of how to make that part work.
Mm-hmm.
And we can skip back to the code there here if you want to, just because you could always pause this video and take a look at what this code here looks like as far as what we're doing in setting up the page to do that direct navigation.
Yeah, and again, I think if you're just getting started and you kind of play around initially with the notion, like if you recall, James had like a list and then he wanted to navigate. First, he had a dialog that popped up, and this little problem of getting the record to point to the right record didn't appear. So he was able to just create a dialog right directly, and it would always go and have the right record pointed. The problem would come up if he created a bigger navigation or a bigger detail page and navigate directly to that. And so that's why if you're kind of getting started, from at least from our experience, or at least my experience, I guess, just using the simple grabbing the data source, getting the key actually off of the particular record that you're clicking on, and then using that to then set that record when you navigate to the new page. That seems to be like probably the most straightforward. And then obviously you can get into more details with the other solutions that James is providing. Cool. How are we doing on our questions? Is there any?
We've got quite a few new questions.
Yeah, we have the more with time zones. Yeah, exactly. So like when you have like your browser is going to have its own time zone. The app script running on the server is going to have its time zone, and just being aware of that for one thing. And then time zones, and then I see just a few more things here. Something on Team Drive.
And something else that is handy, we're building a scheduling app right now, so we've run into a few of these date issues. And of course, a lot of the back end is JavaScript, and dates are always hard in JavaScript. They just always have been, dates and times. One thing to know is when you have a date picker on the page that you've automatically generated from, say, dragging out a form or a table with the edit mode, and you see that picker there, it always returns the time of 0000, basically, exactly midnight. And so you have to set when you are getting a date, you do have to either ask the user for a time or set that time automatically through several different methods. You can use a now statement and then set it that way. So there's a lot of different ways to take care of that. But it's something that's good to know, is that whenever you're using that date picker, you're always going to get the time that's not now, but at top of the day, so to speak.
So here's a question for you, and maybe it depends on your various implementations, but like I typically in some of the apps that I do, if I need to like set a date, I'll do that on the server, like editing or creating a new record. Do you find yourself doing that on the server or on the client, on the browser, or both?
Yeah, it really depends on what it is you're doing or where you're saving the data or those kinds of things. And I would say we do it both ways. And it works actually the same methods, because it's all JavaScript. It works the same whether it's on the client or whether it's on the server. So if you do need to do something like set the time, you use .set time on your date object and then set the time. So that works seamlessly whether you're on the client or the server, and then doing whatever you need to do with it. It's pretty straightforward from that point.
Yeah. And then of course you do have to deal with different time zones occasionally, like as what the person mentioned here on chat. Well, like the browser may be different time zone entirely, and you have to do some date correction or whatever.
Yeah, and AppScript does have quite a few built-in features for figuring out what the time zone is on the server side. So if you're needing to do that, there are functions built into the utilities and AppScript that you can look up for doing that.
Cool. How are we doing on time? We're starting to get towards the end of our hour. A few more questions about G Suite education. So the education did come up. So we basically were saying that that's one of our action items on our side to kind of formally, define what we're doing for AppMaker for education, and that's literally happening like in the next month or so, and then we'll start to push out that information. But that will definitely be addressed as we get closer towards GA. Anything else? Team Drive, so you want to do an export. So yeah, there isn't like built-in Team Drive, like Robert had a question about. I assume what you're saying is like you want to export, are you maybe from the editor directly and you just want to save it in the Team Drive directly, or are you talking some other way? Anyway, in general, yeah, as long as you have access to being able to save to a drive, and you do an export in the editor, yeah, you could save it to a Team Drive if you wanted to. There's no problem there. But something a little bit more in depth might be, I mean, if you're asking like the bigger question of like kind of specifics on Team Drive and AppMaker, that's something that's still being looked at and worked on, but there's not like a specific functionality that we could speak to at this point. Anything else? I think, unless I'm missing something, I think we touched on most of the topics. Anything on the template applications, just to kind of wrap up things, like they were asking about when they'll be available. Best case scenario is probably about a month or so, give or take. I mean, we're going through the review process and then finalizing the code, and then it gets put into the next set of releases that goes out. So yeah. We'll see, definitely as we get in the next month or so. Cool. Well, James, is there anything else on your side that you might want to chime in on?
No, I think we're good. We're pretty much out of time, but that was some great information. I can't wait to see those templates out, in the wild, where we can tear them apart and start implementing all the different things that they do in our own apps. That's going to be great. I saw a lot of great techniques that I can't wait to dig into.
Yeah, and thank you as well for showing the stuff that you're doing and then bringing up some of these cases that definitely are very good to go over, just to provide a little bit more clarity on these types of things. So yeah, look forward to continued cool stuff from you as well. Awesome. So I think we're going to wrap it up. So thanks for everyone for joining. And again, you can always post questions to the AppMaker users group. And yeah, that's pretty much our primary communication hub. So tell your friends, and we'll see you over on the Google group, AppMaker-users. Cool. All righty. We're going to sign off from our side.